Do you already have a monsters manual, or maybe a copy of Vodo's Guides to Monsters, or maybe a Mordekainen's Tome of Foes, or do you already have a copy of Monsters of the Guild, or a copy of the Tome of Beasts? And do you still need new monsters to put against your players and frankly kick the living crap out of your players? Maybe you should look into the newly released Creature Codex by Kobold Press. I have to say, Kobold Press have outdone themselves yet again. Yet again, they created an amazing quality product, the amazing monsters manual called the Creature Codex. And if you do not really know what this is, a little piece of history for you. A few years ago, Kobold Press have released a book called The Tome of Beasts. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that it's one of my absolute favorite third-party books to buy as a dungeon master. There's 400 really weird creatures in here of all kinds of challenge ratings, together with some great artwork, and it is not without its flaws, because it's the first real big-ass monsters manual Kobold Press have built. It is not without its flaws, and that's why the people at Kobold Press have decided to create a second one, a Tome of Beasts 2, which is called the Creature Codex. And yet again, you get more than 300, if I'm not mistaken, 300 new creatures to pit against your players, together with some great artwork in a really great quality product. So let's just talk about some of the creatures in here. And let's start with a bug made out of crystal or metal or silver or whatever that can attach to your body and make your spells way more powerful, but also make you lose hit points. I personally have a bookkeeper that does my taxes, and I think I'm going to have to rethink that. Worms. And if one demon is not enough for you, how about 8 of them? And one of them looks like a gnome that paired with the Joker. A cute little light dragon, together with some awesome other dragons. A dragonborn riding a giant lizard that looks more like a mini Tarrasque than a lizard, but it's a dragonborn riding a mini Tarrasque. Let's face it, do we ever have enough giants? The main villain of the Tome of Beasts was a void dragon, and now we have a void giant. Worms. I actually recognize this guy from somewhere. How about a female orc drinking blood from a skull? I have no idea where to start with this book, and that's why I will just start with the cover, because one of the things I had with the Tome of Beasts was that I didn't really like the cover. For me, there was too much bling bling and too much colors going on. It was a great piece of art, but it, for me, didn't really belong on the cover. While on the other hand, the Creature Codex does it completely right for me, because we know Kobold Press for their devastating and weird monsters, and what do? They put some of their darkest, I don't know, Lich King or Skeleton Lord with its minions on the cover, giving you a good vibe of what to expect inside the pages of this tome. And other than that, it is just a monster book. There is no pages of lore in here. There's no fluff in here. There's just, on every page of this book, except for the index of course, there is one monster together with some of its lore, together with some flavor text, and of course a amazing stat block. And the first thing I noticed when opening this book was that they really, this time, it is also in the Tome of Beasts, but I have a feeling they focused it more on it in this one, is that they made groups of creatures. Like there's more types of skeletons in here, there's more types of, if I'm not mistaken, there's more types of dragonborn in here. Yes, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 types of dragonborns in here. There's of course dragons in here, angels in here, giants in here, everything you'd expect from a good book. But they made some really good groups, like the skeleton groups. You can build an entire encounter from just the pages that are really close to each other in this book, so you immediately notice the usability of this book. And like I said, every creature in here gets its own page, or sometimes even more than one page of pure awesomeness. Of course, there is a stat block in here, and one of the coolest things that Kobold Press does with their monster books is they have a piece of lore, like in almost any monster book, but they also have a piece of flavor text above that lore, which is a very short piece of text that instantly gives you a good idea of what the creature represents, and it's almost written as if you could read it out loud for your players. For example, we have this big clockwork black dragon, and I'll just read out loud what it says. An orange glow burns in the eyes of an enormous mechanical dragon. Gears whir as a black-plated war machine spreads steel wings, spewing flames over a battalion of screaming knights. One of the big complaints I had with the Tome of Beasts, together with some other people on the internet, a lot of other people on the internet, was that the challenge rating of some of the monsters in the Tome of Beasts was a bit on the low end. Meaning that if you put a challenge rating 10 creature against a level 10 party, they had a really big chance of really getting obliterated and killed outright. The encounters were very dangerous, so I had to adapt the book a little bit to the level of my players, and I have some really powerful players that really know the rules very well and make some really powerful characters, and still I put one of the Medusas, for example, I put one of the Medusas against my one of my parties, and two of them got petrified, like immediately got turned into stone. One of them died, and it wasn't near TPK, it was a complete mess. After that I had to adapt the monsters I used out of the Tome of Beasts for my players, but I have a feeling, also together with a lot of people on the internet, we have a feeling that the challenge ratings of this book are better, are more precise, and I didn't run enough of these creatures yet for my players to really know for sure, but I have a feeling they absolutely looked into that and fixed a lot of that. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, really, thank you for providing us with official stats for Baba freaking Yaga. If you don't know who that is, she is a powerful, ugly, really evil witch that roams the lands, lives in a hut that has like big ass bird feet that jump around the world. She knows everything, she sees everything, she can fly on stuff, and she is a challenge rating 20 creature. She's amazingly powerful, and she's one of the main villains in my campaign right now, and I didn't have stats for her just yet, so my players were not encountering her just yet, but now I have stats for her, so I'm ready to use her in my campaign, and I'm really happy with that because she is one of the main villains in the Midgard campaign setting, which is the campaign setting of Kobold Press, the creators of the Creature Codex. She's one of the main villains, and I'm really happy that she finally gets some official stats for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And I almost forgot about the last part of this book, which is the Npc Codex. Yes, on top of those 300-ish creatures you get, those villains you actually get an NPC Codex with about 17 or 18 NPCs ready to put in your campaign as a villain or just a friendly encounter, whatever you want to use them for. For example, there is this Beer Cleric out of the Midgard campaign, the Midgard Heroes Handbook, or there is this Gear Mage, and there's a lot of other really cool NPCs to just put in your campaign. So that was it for my review of the Creature Codex by Kobold Press, and there is not more to say about it than it is just yet again an amazing book full of amazing monsters. They are very well written, they're very original. The artwork of the artists that work with Kobold Press is some of the best artwork I've ever seen in a Dungeons & Dragons product, so kudos to the artists, of course. Yet again, you're doing an amazing job. It is a very well built product. It's not one of those cheap ass hardcovers. It's really one of those books that will travel with you in your bag for a heck of a long time without any hiccups. If you want to see some of my other reviews on products from Kobold Press and of course other companies, make sure to hit one of these videos right here. And if you want to be the first one to see my new reviews, for example the Maze of the Blue Medusa, Medusa, which is coming very soon. Make sure to hit the subscribe button below. Also hit the thumbs up, and I hope your inspiration may guide you.